Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is the movie where Tom Cruise shows you that he's willing to do anything to get you to pay for a movie ticket. In Dead Reckoning, there is a dangerous weapon, and if the bad guys get it before Ethan Hunt and his team does, it could ruin a lot of people's day. If this sounds anything like the plot of Mission Impossible 2, where they tried to stop a terrorist from getting a biological weapon that will cause the world to get flu-like symptoms, but ultimately has a 99% survival rate.
Well then, you've got both the virus and the antivirus, which means I've got 30 million for you.
Or Mission Impossible 3, where terrorists sought to obtain a deadly biological agent of significant destruction. Or Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, where terrorists obtain nuclear launch codes in order to have the United States and Russia blow up the world.
You're talking about handing over active nuclear launch codes to Western?
We broke in the case.
Or Mission Impossible Fallout, where terrorists seek plutonium nugs for their 3 nuclear weapons, where they threaten to blow up the world.
Perfectly relaxed, right here, now, in a dark alleyway, waiting to buy black market plutonium from a psychopath.
Well then, you are dead reckoning wrong. In this Mission Impossible, we are fighting an AI system that has achieved sentience and went rogue and threatens the world. For what purpose? Why do you care, dork? All you need to know is that it's sentient AI, and therefore we're all in deep shit.
Skynet fights back.
Yes, it launches its missiles against the targets in Russia.
The Skynet in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning has infiltrated all major defenses, military systems, and intelligence networks of the world. And there's only 2 things to stop this AI. One is Ethan Hunt, and the other thing is the cruciform key. Maybe. They don't know if the key will shut down or help control it. Apparently, whoever built this key didn't leave an instruction manual or at least a sticky note. So governments are going to government and bank on the fact that the key does control Skynet, and whichever power controls the key controls the world.
We got Skynet by the balls now, don't we?
But Ethan Hunt is not having any of that shit, because what he hates more than the government he works for is working for a government that's actively trying to suck Skynet's dick.
I will suck your fucking dick. I will do it. Just join my team.
So the always rogue Ethan Hunt sets out to find the key that destroys the rogue Skynet. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Can't wait for Skynet to drop the reflection line.
You and I are not so different.
Ethan Hunt already possesses half the key he got from meeting his on-again, off-again pirate girlfriend Ilsa Faust in the desert. He told her to lay low and play dead, so she lied right down in the desert and was never seen again. The second half of the cruciform key is in the Abu Dhabi airport, so Ethan and his teammates Luther and Benji set out to sell half the key, follow the buyer to the other half of the key, steal the whole key, put the key up his prison pocket, sneak out, and destroy Skynet from within.
In the computer. It's so simple.
But things get a little complicated as they do. Intelligence community agents are in the airport on the hunt for the Hunt. And a Skynet middleman named Gabriel, who has ties to Hunt's pre-IMF days, is there. All while a professional pickpocket named Grace lifted half the key off Ethan himself. So with a self-aware AI software that has infiltrated every type of network in the world, there's only one question to really ask.
Well, why don't just become a bomb or something to get me?
Skynet in Dead Reckoning obviously saw this part in Terminator 2 and thought, yeah, why don't I become a bomb and come get him? And then with the helpful use of the writers, downloaded the bomb right into the airport.
Son of a bitch!
Benji and Luther immediately are keyed into what Skynet and the writers are up to, and Benji is sent to defuse the bomb. When he finds it, Skynet was nice enough to follow TSA regulations by marking the bomb as nuclear. Also turns out the bomb is not dumb but a smart bomb because it knows who Benji is and plays riddles and practical jokes on him. But Benji, being the quick-thinking comic relief that he is, finds out it's not a bomb. The bomb was a complete waste of time, much like his scenes. Grace obtains half of Ethan's key, ditches him, and takes off for Rome. Gets arrested in Rome. Ethan gets to her before the community agents or Gabriel the Skynet lackey. She ditches Ethan again, hops in a stolen car, and proceeds to run into everything in her fucking path.
Who talks like that?
No Italian is safe with this woman driving, so the only way Ethan is going to be able to track Grace down is to follow the trail of wreckage she left behind, and hopes that it's the right woman that he's trailing. They get into a super awesome car chase while handcuffed together, wreck more of Italy as a couple, but thinking she might escape him again in something as huge as a BMW, Ethan decides to keep a good eye on her by stuffing themselves into a clown car, which is perfect because she's not done making him look like a total clown. Just when he thought it was safe to let his guard down, Grace escapes him again by slipping out of her handcuffs and chaining Ethan to a steering wheel after they crash into a subway. With the subway car fast approaching, she was at least nice enough to apologize for leaving him to die. Off screen, Ethan narrowly escapes the oncoming train by going into a complete state of Hulkamania and ripping the wheel right out with his bare hands.
I am a real American, but to the rights of every man.
And does the walk of shame back to meet with his team along with Ilsa, who was done playing dead in the desert long ago. They plan on meeting up with the buyer at a rave, and all the interested parties who want the key meet at this rave. You have Ethan and Elsa, Gabriel and Skynet, Grace and the arms dealer that hired her, Alana. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin are there for some reason looking for death stick dealers. Carlito, the club owner, watches over the place, while Tony Montana hears that there was a key to be had, but is ultimately disappointed when he finds out that it's a literal key. Patrick Bateman shows up from returning some videotapes, and to make matters worse, Blade is spotted in the crowd, which means there's vampires in the building. And since we're dealing with AI, RoboCop and the Terminator are around. International spy Austin Powers is also looking for the key, while smooth criminal Michael Jackson is looking to steal it, and almost does before Vincent from Collateral starts shooting the place up. And since there's a shooting at a rave, John Wick arrives and busts the party up looking for his dog's killer. Before everyone can scatter, Gabriel tells Ethan that Skynet has determined that one of his allies will have the big sleep, Ilsa or Grace. How does Skynet determine that Grace is an ally when she ditched him 3 times and left him to die once? I guess I'm too analog to know. Ethan has to fight a little French girl in a narrow alley, and that's not a euphemism, while Grace and Ilsa fight Gabriel on a bridge. Gabriel, impatient in finding out which of these girls are going to die, kills Ilsa and fucking spoils the movie for the rest of us. Grace, feeling like a total shithead about all of this, joins Ethan's team, and they prepare to board the train where the buyer of the key is to meet with Alana. This is also where Ethan finds out where his team leader, Jim Phelps, is the actual mole in the IMF, and is selling the knock list shit. Wait, hold on. I'm getting the plot mixed up with the first Mission Impossible. Okay, Gabriel's on the train, and he awakens in some kind of digital coffin and arises like a vampire. Grace is masked as Alana and finds out that Kittredge, Ethan's asshole boss from the first film, is the buyer. Ethan has to go to plan B and parachute onto the train, fight Gabriel on top of the train for the key, steals the key with Gabriel not noticing, in which the only thing left for Gabriel to do is have a Khan moment. Now that Ethan has got the key, it's time to go terminate Skynet once and for all in Part 2. And that's it. That's the plot to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I honestly have to say the filmmakers and Tom Cruise must be thanking their lucky stars that Top Gun Maverick was released a year before Dead Reckoning, so it could coast off the waves this cruise ship is generating. The major flaw in this film is the writing and some of the logic behind it. This is all assuming that the sentient and malice AI wants the key worse than anybody else. So case in point, Grace steals the key. The AI obviously knows that she did because it tracks her to Rome. With all the networks that it has hacked, why not divert the plane to a location where she can easily be picked up by Skynet's henchmen? With the sentient AI in mind, I found myself wanting Team Ethan to start going dumb in a smart way. Wouldn't it have been better if they forced themselves into a more primitive use of spycraft? The AI has proven that their tech is unreliable, so the only option is to go back to the old methods. And sure, they went back to typewriters and old satellites and blah 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 blah, but Team Ethan went dumb in a dumb way and still relied on new tech. Case in point, at the end of the film, Benji literally acts surprised when Skynet hacks his iPad as he's in a self-driving vehicle. This whole setup is so fucking stupid. Dumb motherfucker. motherfucker, sitting in your stupid ass smart car while AI is trying to fucking kill you, you dipshit. But that's as far as it goes as well. It's almost like they're banking on this sentient AI to be dumb as fuck. For as advanced as Skynet is in this film, and all the logic they try to make the AI seem to have, it never feels like Team Ethan is ever in danger. Why not just take control of the self-driving vehicle and drive it over a cliff? Or at least deploy an airbag and hit Benji in the face when he's about to make a quip. Also, scenes seem to drone on well after they get to the point. Every major character seems to go back and forth about how the key unlocks the AI's destruction or the key unlocks its control. There are multiple scenes that cover this talking point, and never have I cared less for a backstory of a MacGuffin. We get it. We're not sure what the key does, but we all want it. Now let's go get the fucking thing. And the mission itself doesn't seem impossible at all. I kind of touched on this before, but especially with an AI system that seems to have humans do all the work for it. It doesn't seem all too menacing or calculating. It just hangs out and parties. It's sort of like your trolling best friend. Also, on a different point, Ilsa was a strong character in the previous films, and she was only treated as a prop in this movie to be saved for her death scene alone. But her death also was unceremonious, and Ethan and his team seem to move on pretty fast from the fact that she's gone. But not all is wrong with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It is a quiet and welcome throwback to the first Mission Impossible, with a reintroduction of Kittredge as the boss you can't trust, played again by the underappreciated Henry Czerny. It was like he never skipped a beat stepping back into the role 6 films later. As you come to expect with a Mission Impossible film, the stunts are outstanding. The car chase is brilliantly choreographed. The fight scenes felt real, especially the one on top of the train. But out of all those, the one I was most impressed with was the one at the end when the train dangles over the side of a blown up bridge, and Ethan and Grace have to climb their way up, dodging various projectiles including plates and chairs and eventually a grand piano. The scene is nerve-wracking and you sweat along with the characters. Each of the scenes I have described make real use of practical effects, and that should be commended. It gives the audience a real sense of danger in every frame. Never once did I spot where the CGI takes over, and that's the way filmmaking should treat it. CGI is a tool, not a crutch. And what else can be said about Tom Cruise? He's 61 fucking years old and is the definition of stamina. This guy is pulling off some of the most insane stunts for our entertainment's sake alone. My only hope is that his age doesn't catch up to him soon, but holy shit, this guy's like a fucking vampire. The dude never ages. He still moves like a man in his 30s and looks like one as well. And say what you want about the ridiculous setup of some of these stunts in this film that seem a little bit contrived, at least these filmmakers are trying and obviously giving a damn about their craft. You can't say the same for some other recent additions to legacy franchises. In the grand scheme of Mission Impossible films, this is by far my least favorite since Mission Impossible 2. That being said, it's nowhere close to being just as bad, or bad at all for that matter. In a franchise where we come to expect greatness every time, it's just a heavily flawed addition. The thrills come just in time before you find yourself drifting off into dreamland. And by the end of the film, after all the boring talky talk and plot points you already know for the 3rd or 4th time, you still find yourself looking forward to Part 2. Make no mistake about it, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is going to dominate the summer box office. It has no other agenda other than to entertain you. The actresses do not outshine the main male character, nor do they try to teach him a lesson. It's just good old-fashioned entertainment you used to know and love. I may be lukewarm on the film, but damn, it's best to beat the heat with this movie than watching another minute of Dial of Destiny. Dead Reckoning is worth the price of admission, and don't worry, the movie knows when to wake you up. I'm out of here.
Mission accomplished!